I'm trying to see how making some fun videos of food making. I've never done a food vlog before, food video like blog. So in Jamestown, I hosted a women's cookie exchange, and we did a whole bunch of cookies, and I have dreamed about these particular cookies since we left. So that's been what, how long has it been? 5 years since we've been in Jamestown? 6 years since we did this, I think. Actually, probably longer than that, 'cause I think Andy was a baby when we did it. Anyway, today I'm gonna make oatmeal lace cookies by a good friend of ours her name is Nancy Hoffman. And this is the ingredients. It needs 2 sticks of butter, melted down, 5 packets of instant oatmeal. So everyone should have these in their closet. This is a pretty instant, easy thing. This is just regular oatmeal, not flavored or anything, but you could do flavored packets. So 5 packets of those, 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, 1 1/3 cup of sugar, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a tablespoon of vanilla, 2 eggs, and you can have the additional of putting in peanuts. We're not gonna put any peanuts or pecans in ours. We're just gonna do oatmeal lace cookies. So in here, I've got my 5 packets of oatmeal already cut open and just put into a big bowl. This is not a bag, this is a bowl. Then it says 1 1/3 cup sugar. So I always keep a 1/4 cup measuring cup in my big sugar dish. So I'm gonna do the math. 4, 5, 6, 7 of these. 1, don't need my joke. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, I didn't level them off, but I tried just sort of shaking them level. And then it says 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Y'all, I feel awkward because I've never had anybody watch me do this. But, so 2 tablespoons, and this one I am going to make sure they're level. That's 1, 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Then salt, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. It would have been helpful had I gotten this out before I talked to everybody. So, hold on just a minute. Hold on just a minute. Hold on, I only have, yep, there we go, hold on. Hey, entertain them. You can just give them a little bit of a side dance, love, as I throw things out of the pantry. Okay, I'm back. So, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. If y'all knew my husband behind the camera right now, he is rolling his eyes ever so lovingly because this is not how he would do cookies. Now, has he made these cookies before? No, but he'd have it all lined up and perfect, and I'm showing you, I guess, what not to do. So, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Okay, and then it just says to sort of mix up these items. So I'm using this teaspoon that I had to mix up the flour, the oatmeal, the sugar, and the salt. Okay, just a moment. I'm gonna now show you what you do with the butter. Okay, so it calls for 2 sticks of butter, which is 1 cup. So 1 cup of butter that I am going to melt over medium heat. Once this is bubbling, we'll take it off the heat and we'll add it to our mixture of oatmeal, sugar, and flour. While we're sitting here at the stove, it's also important to realize that you preheat your oven to 325 degrees. You can see I've got it on medium heat, and I am just slowly melting this buttery goodness. The point is to make sure that it gets bubbles, so almost like where you brown the butter, but you're not fully browning it. Okay, we're getting a slight bubble and boil. There's a little bit of a film on top of it, and all of our butter has melted. You should have a little tiny bit of a bubble, almost like a pre-boil. And if you listen, you can hear it. Now it's time to take it off of the eye and add it to our dry mixture. Okay, so this is my boiling hot melted butter, and I am getting every little bit out of there. Let's mix that up. Now, I'm not normally an oatmeal fan. I usually have to have chocolate in my cookies. But these, they spread out to be really chewy and thin. They're called lace cookies for a reason. So, got all the melted butter thoroughly mixed in. Now, we're going to take 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. I'm sorry, just joking. 1 tablespoon of vanilla. Helps if you read the instructions properly. 1 tablespoon of vanilla. Pour that in there. And then we're going to do 2 eggs. And this is what I find helpful to do beforehand. When you are cracking eggs, to crack them in a separate bowl, just so you don't get shells down into your mixture. So we're going to, wait a minute, I've got to beat these. So beat it in the bowl. Pour 1 in. We're going to do our second one. Okay. Now we're going to start mixing. And it just says mix well. A lot of this is sugar with only a little bit of flour. So with all the sugar and less flour, they're going to frame out. When you put them, you're going to drop only 1 tablespoon dropping, 1 heaping tablespoon droppings on 3 pans. So let me get my tablespoon and my pans. It's pretty easier to do this, don't you think? Okay, so I know I've thrown lots of different size measurements into you. We did 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract in our bowl. We're going to take 1 teaspoon droppings and scoop out heaping teaspoons of our mixture for our cookies. And these you're going to put on a Silpat or not wax paper. You could do Reynolds wrap that you've sprayed with Pam or something, some non-stick surface. And you're going to give them lots of space, so I'm only putting 2 per row. We're going to fill up all these pans, and then we're going to bake them, and then we're going to cool them in the refrigerator. It's important to note that this is what your batter is going to look like. It looks like very kind of sticky, soupy. That's what it's supposed to look like. And you're using heaping teaspoons, and I'm pouring them out. They're going to sort of grow from this position. I want you to see how they are flattening out and they're getting a little bit brown on the edges. You want it a little bit browner. In fact, I'm going to turn these pans because the back of my oven, see these are almost done. Look at that. Yummy. Okay, so these are fresh out of the oven. The recipe says to let them cool and become more room temperature sorry, I took them out a second before the timer went off, because they are a nice golden brown. And these, because they are so delicate, this is what I meant with the lace cookies. They become they have little tiny holes and they sort of fan out. So we're gonna let this cool to more room temperature for just about 5 or 10 minutes. And then I'm gonna stick them in the refrigerator so that they can harden and I can pull them off without breaking. So one of the things to know when you are pulling them off of it, the recipe calls for you to put it on, to cool it in the refrigerator. I just cooled it on higher like drying sheets or cooling sheets so that there can be air coming underneath the pan before you move them off of the pan, because they are so fragile and thin. In fact, I broke one to show you. Look how thin these are. They are so delicious. The darker ones just cooked a little bit longer in the oven, but all of them taste kind of like a caramel toffee and they're so delicious. This is definitely an easy bake.